On August 15th, I watched the premiere of episode 6 of The Amazing Digital Circus, one of my current favorite shows. This episode was amazing from start to finish. I thought it would have been impossible to top episode 5, but thankfully, Gooseworks didn't disappoint me. The adventure was entertaining to watch, the character interactions were some of the best of the whole show, the animation looked better than ever, and finally I had reached the episode's climax. The argument between Pomni and JAX had me completely engaged. I was paying attention to every word, and I even got physically closer to my computer screen. Then, this happened.
You don't even know what people are like before they abstract. They are not pleasant to be around. Like at all!
I'm sorry.
I'm sure you are.
So the episode ends, and I go to bed. I don't live in the US. I live in Europe, meaning I stayed up late to watch the premiere, and when it ended, it was 30 minutes past midnight. And as I lay on my bed, a certain scene kept playing over and over in my mind. Maybe it's because I was exhausted, maybe it's because I was in a dark room, but I felt weird about it. Then I realized it was because, to my surprise, that scene had messed me up a bit. I wouldn't outright say it scared me, but it left an uneasy feeling in me. And at first I thought, oh come on Gwen, really? You watched your first horror movie when you were only 6. Courage the Cowardly Dog was your favorite show growing up, and it had things like these in its episodes. Some of your favorite movies are horror. You were able to watch movies considered pinnacles of the genre without getting scared. But a smiling purple bunny was too much for you. So I thought, why? It's not like the show didn't have its horror moments before. So how can it be that all that didn't scare me, but a single smile made me feel uneasy? Why did this one moment from a cartoon get under my skin when full-on horror movies usually don't? After some pondering, I think the answer lies in the two different types of horror. The first one is very direct, with blood, guts, monsters, chainsaws, lots of stabbing, and bodies getting deformed. Then there is the subtle horror, where the scary factor isn't exactly thrown in your face. It leaves you only hints of something, and it lets your mind fill in the gaps with uncomfortable realizations. In a similar way, The Amazing Digital Circus has both of these types of horror. In episode 3, of course, we have a more straightforward horror, with scenes like this and this. Episode 1 also had that, with abstracted Kaufmo. Then there are also moments that lean more into an existential dread rather than pure horror. We have this at the beginning of episode 2, where it's shown that Pomni is rightfully terrified of the thought of becoming abstracted, and the part where Gamigu realizes he's not real can be considered psychological horror. This scene that happens at the end of episode 6 is a mix of both. First of all, we have the smile itself. Of course, smiling isn't something inherently violent like stabbing or blood, but it's still something physical and straightforward. Love him or hate him, JAX has a great character design. It's very simple and effective, which is probably why he's the most popular character. I think the reason it works is because it follows what I like to call the FNAF principle. By that, I mean a character with a child-friendly design that becomes scary when seen in the dark or in a different context. JAX's smile here is scary not because he and Pomni were in the dark, but because it was truly out of place during that conversation. And this leads to the psychological horror. Let's pause for a moment to discuss some specific lines of dialogue said by JAX when he's teaching Pomni how to shoot.
Ragatha's the cheerful one, Gangle's the sad one, Kinger's the crazy one, Zubal's the grumpy one, and you are the one who hasn't figured that out yet. We all just became archetypes. I at least have the self-awareness to choose who I am.
The funny one.
Except all of this is wrong.
Ragatha's the cheerful one.
Ragatha had an extremely vulnerable moment where she tearfully confesses what she was feeling.
Gangle's the sad one.
Gangle had fun during the adventure and was still smiling even after her happy mask broke.
Kinger's the crazy one.
Kinger had his moments of clarity with Pomni and Ragatha, which he used to comfort them.
Zubal's the grumpy one.
Zubul always makes an effort to cheer Gangle up, showing not only compassion but also patience.
I at least have the self-awareness to choose who I am.
The funny one.
By the end of the episode, JAX was breaking down and about to abstract. This proves that his philosophy is not only wrong, but also detrimental to his mental well-being. So in this scene, you're not just watching him smile, you're watching him forcing himself to disassociate into his persona in real time. If you rewatch the show while paying attention to his eyes, you'll notice that when the pupils are smaller, JAX shows human emotions. Those are the moments where he's letting his true self out. But when they're dilated to the point that they almost take up his whole eye, that's when he's dissociating and putting his mask back on. You can always tell when he's forcing himself to act in character, specifically because his smile is way too wide, like his face is being forced into that shape. So after the episode explains why he smiles, it becomes uncomfortable to watch. He only makes that face when he's heavily dissociating or playing into his sadistic persona. His smile always felt a little off to me, but in this specific episode, there are many scenes where he looks just downright inhuman, which is how he considers himself. So in the end, I think it all comes down to how expressive he is, and how quickly he can force himself to suppress this expressiveness, resulting in this uncanny valley look that deeply contrasts the scene's mood. It's something physical and disturbing, whose psychological implications make it even more frightening. One final element that adds to the eeriness is the soundtrack, or better, the lack of one. This choice reminded me of something I hadn't thought about in years. Did any of you play Pokémon Platinum? For those who haven't, in Hearthome City, it's possible to enter this building, which is a church. And when you do it, this happens. The shift from the usual cheerful music to complete silence caught me completely off guard when I played the game as a child, and having the NPCs talk about spirituality made it all even weirder considering I was playing a Pokémon game. Back to the show, this whole scene doesn't have music in the background, and it enhances the uncomfortable feeling. The colorful but empty space surrounding them, too, adds to the creepiness. I almost felt like I was watching something not meant for me. An intimate discussion between two people not meant to be heard by others. This also allowed me to get even more invested in the voice actors' performances. Everyone did a great job, but Michael and Lizzie shone in this episode. So in conclusion, this scene in particular managed to do something that not even horror movies can always pull off with me. It made me feel deeply uncomfortable. I hope the remaining 3 episodes will have more moments like this. This is scary, but this gets under my skin. On a lighter note, this episode made me doubt about my brain's inner workings. Apparently, I can watch Leatherface chasing his victims without batting an eye, but a smiling purple rabbit is just too much for me to handle. As always, thanks for watching and have a great day.